Ohio Senator J.D. Vance is the headliner. We will also hear from his wife and one of Vance's largest supporters. Last week, ICE arrested 4 people outside the Mecklenburg County courthouse. And Border Czar Tom Homan says you can expect those types of arrests to continue. He's also urging Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden to call ICE whenever somebody subject to a detainer is about to be released from jail. Here's what happened. Police say it all started with road rage. They're fighting, they're arguing, and they come into this parking lot here and they continue to fight. It escalates from there, and eventually shots are fired. From there, they both speed off, and we're told that the person who was shot ended up crashing into this building across the street. There used to be street vendors all up and down this sidewalk until Charlotte City Council banned them in NODA. Now they are looking to extend those restrictions citywide, but they can't agree on a punishment. The current punishment is $500 in fines per day. The problem is no one is paying them. They're just tossing it out, and city leaders can't agree on whether they want to criminalize this behavior. She says she was deeply moved by this case, and from the courts to the trains, she is now pursuing legislation that will hold people accountable.
Radio check.
Every day in Charlotte,
About 3.5 weeks ago,
ICE agents are gearing up and getting their assignment.
Good morning, guys. This morning we're going to be going after Jose Napoleon Serrano, Honduran male.
Honduras citizen Jose Napoleon Serrano has already been deported twice. In 2020, he was removed from the United States after being arrested in Operation Noble Guardian. That's when investigators arrested people who crossed the border with a kid in order to be deemed a family unit so they can avoid detention, only to then ship the kid back after gaining entry into the U.S.
They felt that they would be safe if they brought a child in, and so he was one of those people that were targeted for that reason.
The child's essentially a prop.
Absolutely.
That's Maria Summers. She's the head of enforcement and removal operations in Charlotte. For about an hour and a half, we parked inside Napoleon Serrano's neighborhood, waiting for him to come out. A stakeout, she says, could have been avoided.
We're putting our lives in danger, obviously the alien's life, and the people in the community.
Last month, CMPD arrested Napoleon Serrano on charges of assault with a deadly weapon, assault on a female, and domestic violence. ICE issued this detainer requesting him to be held for 48 hours and for the Mecklenburg County Sheriff's Office to let them know before he is released. Records show he was held for 48 hours, but ICE says MCSO never made that phone call. As I've been reporting, Sheriff Gary McFadden thinks the law doesn't require him to do so.
It's frustrating because this could be a very easy transaction at the jail if they were honoring our detainers.
So that's how ICE ended up here in North Charlotte. They spent about a week getting to know Napoleon Serrano's habits.
We don't have movement, right?
Now they are all scattered throughout the neighborhood waiting for him to leave his home.
We're keeping with the president's policy, and is the worst first.
This is targeted enforcement, not a raid. And Summers says, despite what has been said, her agents aren't going into churches, schools, or other sensitive areas. She says the focus is on people who have committed violent crimes.
Our goal is to remove them and hopefully, get rid of one less threat, and one less victim out there that gets to sleep at night and feel safe.
When Napoleon Serrano left his house,
that was her vehicle.
Agents in unmarked cars followed, and he instantly knew why. He pulled into a park and ditched his car.
He's up in here in the power line somewhere.
And after a short run through the woods,
That is our target.
ICE made the arrest. Anything you want to say? KTN is K to see her. Napoleon Serrano didn't comment on his arrest. He asked ICE if someone would be able to pick up his car, and he confirmed all of his kids are being supervised. Summers says just like they were watching him, he was having people watch them.
They're doing counter surveillance outside the house.
They know our cars. They kind of also know somewhat the way we operate. So when he saw something was, not normal, he came, he parked his car, and took off.
After being escorted out of the woods, Napoleon Serrano was cuffed. ICE let him leave his keys, and he was allowed to call his wife to let her know he was arrested and that she would need to pick up the car. Now that the suspect has been arrested, he's going to be taken back to the ICE office in Charlotte for processing. He will then be sent to Alamance County, where he's expected to remain in the detention center for 1 or 2 days before he can get a hearing before a judge. At the ICE field office, he was escorted through the back and into an elevator. Once inside, officers collected the rest of his belongings, including more than $2,000 in cash. He was then placed into a cell. Summers says she has met with state lawmakers, asking them to make it clear sheriffs have to call ICE before a suspect like Napoleon Serrano is released. But she is reiterating the focus right now is on people accused of serious crimes.
We are going after criminals, so I would say don't commit additional crimes, right? And most likely that's not who we're going to prioritize.
Yeah, I literally woke up city officials in the middle of the night to break this news to them. Feds say council member Tijuana Brown and her 2 daughters obtained COVID-19 relief money fraudulently, and they used most of that money on personal expenses like Louis Vuitton and a lavish birthday party here at the Gant Center in 2021 before Brown was elected to city council. Charlotte City Council member Tijuana Brown celebrated her 50th birthday in style. She arrived in a horse-drawn carriage and posed for pictures on a throne. Feds say this was a $15,000 affair made possible by fraud. They say she spent $3,500 on the venue, plus $5,000 on catering and $2,300 on photo and video. The extravagant birthday party also included a balloon arch, rose wall, plus that rented throne and horse-drawn carriage. The indictment says that you used those funds on a birthday party. Is that the case?
I paid $20,000 back.
Did you originally use the funds that were provided for you for that birthday party?
I paid it back.
She says she paid it back after she was told she was under investigation. I asked multiple times, but Brown would not say whether she used her pandemic relief funds for payroll like feds say she claimed she would on her application. Brown and her 2 daughters are facing wire fraud charges after feds say the trio took in more than $124,000, claiming to use the money on business expenses, but instead using it for personal gain. A little over $20,000 of that went to Brown.
I just paid it back. I paid it back. It was done by a third party. The application was submitted by a third party. So what I accept responsibility for is maybe not scrutinize the application the way that I should have.
The feds say that you certified the application now under perjury. So why are you saying that a third party submitted the application?
I'm not going to answer that question, Mr. Bruno.
Cedric Dean turned his life around during his 23 years behind bars.
This is one of our first stories on Cedric Dean. We recorded it in 2018, about 6 months after he was released from federal prison. With then CMPD Chief Kerr Putney and Mecklenburg County Sheriff Gary McFadden on hand, Dean was handing out certificates for his program that taught character.
In the heart of Charlotte, a hero stands tall.
7 years later, Dean is flashier, a mover and shaker who has made a name for himself for being a ride and die for his allies and his activism. He is seen here in a music video that he released.
Fighting for the homeless, he's in their pain.
Some of the people Dean claimed to help are who federal agents say he took advantage of. Court documents say that's why you see FBI agents raiding his Southwest Charlotte home last month. Investigators say Dean obtained this home and these 3 as well through conspiracy and healthcare fraud.
I knew it was going to be a matter of time.
After being released from prison on a felony sex offense conviction, Casey Farley worked for Cedric Dean. He says he started in maintenance, then began recruiting people in need of help.
You know, I'd come out here on the streets and, talk to people that are homeless, give them a business card with his phone number, tell them, hey, look, this is an emergency housing thing. We're trying to help if you've got Medicaid. If you've got the right type of Medicaid, then you're automatically approved.
Farley says at the time he had no idea, but feds say Dean and his associates were executing a healthcare fraud scheme by obtaining Medicaid beneficiary identification numbers from people in shelters, encampments, and halfway houses. Dean is accused of billing Medicaid exorbitant amounts for services that he could not realistically provide, billing $14.5 million between September 2024 and June 2025 and receiving $8.9 million back. Money that investigators claim Dean and his associates used to promote the fraud and enrich themselves.
It's really hurt. It's really hurting. Just because we left in a worse condition than we came in.
Brianna Jackson and her two daughters once lived in a property that Dean managed. She says in order to live there, she had to turn over all of their Medicaid information. She told me she doesn't know what he did with their info, but suspects it wasn't good.
I feel like we were taken advantage of.
Federal investigators spoke to multiple witnesses. One witness told them if someone was homeless, they could receive a meal or temporary housing from Dean only if they had and provided information on a certain type of Medicaid for him to bill. A Medicaid beneficiary told feds that a Dean employee asked if they had Medicaid and for their email address. That person said they gave that info and received a plate of food. Feds say Dean's company then billed Medicaid $3,200 for mobile crisis management services for that person and just got about all of it back. The individual told their managed care organization that no services were provided and that Dean's team, quote, did nothing but give me a plate of food.
I trusted him, and he just left us all hanging.
Sandra Thompson says she lived in one of Dean's properties and turned over her Medicaid information. She told me Dean promised services that neither she nor her children received.
I was thinking that I was going into a program for a stepping stone to get a housing program and to get on my feet so I can put a roof over me and my children's head, but it totally wasn't like that.
Thompson, Jackson, and other residents may not have suspected anything at the time, but I obtained public records showing others did. In July, the CEO of Alliance Health emailed Charlotte and Mecklenburg County leaders saying, the situation with Cedric Dean Holdings has raised many concerns amongst community partners, not only with allegations of inappropriate Medicaid billing and service delivery, but with the health and safety of persons and families his organization has engaged with. The email said Alliance wanted to coordinate any potential next steps with the county and city. After the feds raided Dean's homes and froze his bank accounts, several people, dozens even, found themselves in a situation like Jackson. Dean's attorney told us with his money frozen, he was unable to make rental payments on properties like this one, so the landlord kicked everyone inside out. Despite the chaos, several people we spoke to defended Dean's program.
And I want to make it clear that I support Cedric Dean because he got me out of a place. I was in depression. I lost my daughter this year.
I ain't got no problem with Cedric or any of his workers because they been good to me. I'm not going to stand up and tell a lie.
Dean and his attorney declined to be interviewed for this report, but he texted me this video. It includes footage of people receiving help and interviews.
And here I am about to go to a place and have someone stay. Now what have y'all done for us homeless people?
Farley says this all paints a complicated picture of the ongoing healthcare fraud investigation. Some people who were housed considered it a blessing, an opportunity to get off the streets. But Farley says if Dean profited off of their pain, he should be held accountable.
He wanted to make a difference. I just felt like somewhere down the line he got selfish.
Innocent people like Thompson and Jackson are dealing with the fallout. They both are living in a shelter with their kids right now. The FBI is not commenting, but says the investigation is ongoing. Joe Bruno, Channel 9 Eyewitness News. It all starts with a boat like this.
I'm born into it and I don't want to do nothing else.
Vernon Sadler's been shrimping ever since he quit school at 16. He's 57 now, and 2 or 3 times a week, he pulls Gary Wayne into the Newman Seafood Dock.
Then I'll come in whenever I get the boat full, and I'll go back out.
This shrimp's a little darker.
Del Newman is always there to greet him and check out the catch.
I'll look at the heads, I'll look at the bodies.
If all looks good, the fun begins. Sadler's catch, sitting on ice, is shoveled off the boat and put into baskets. Rinsed, then dipped into a solution that kills algae. Some shrimp are weighed and iced. They'll be boxed up, heads on, and go straight to restaurants. These will be in New York City by the morning. The others go onto this table, where locals will make $25 an hour pinching the heads off. The heads become crab pot bait.
Everything's reused.
The headless shrimp are cleaned again, sorted by size, iced, and boxed up. Newman says it doesn't get more fresh than that.
If you're trying to eat healthy and not be full of chemicals and not wonder what your food's going to do to you 20 years down the road, I would certainly suggest eating North Carolina shrimp.
These shrimp all come from the Pamlico Sound, where most North Carolina shrimp are caught. Trawlers typically head 10 miles out into the inland water. But Senate lawmakers wanted to ban this inland trawling and instead keep it more than a half-mile offshore.
This boat is about 45 feet, and that's typically the size of the boat that a trawler in North Carolina is going to be using. If you want to trawl out in the ocean about a half-mile offshore, you really want your boat to be double this size so it can withstand the conditions that are out there with the rougher waters.
Fewer boats trawling offshore would mean fewer boats bringing in shrimp to markets like Newman's. He buys from 6 trawlers and says none of them would be able to stay in business. The impact extends to dock workers, headers, truck drivers, and restaurants. Local shrimp replaced by foreign.
And around here, either a fisherman, a farmer, or you work for the county or the state. All the state jobs are taken around here except for the prison. And if I had to go to work at the prison, I might as well be in there.
It isn't that much of a concern in offshore trawling, but a main concern with inshore trawling is bycatch. That's basically everything caught other than shrimp. Wildlife groups have claimed for every pound of shrimp, more than 4 pounds of other species are caught and discarded. That figure is contested.
The net itself is designed to minimize bycatch. You got this space right here that fish can swim through. They even have this large space right here, this circle with grates that turtles can get out alive from.
I mean, we catch a few fish, but not enough to hurt nothing. We've been doing this, like I said, for this long, 100 years, and the Sound are still just as many fish now as it was when I started.
If we were doing all the damage they said we were doing, then they got to do something. But we're not.
So we're killing, in essence, hundreds of millions of juvenile fish every year before they have a chance to spawn, reproduce, and support any fishing sector.
North Carolina Wildlife Federation President Tim Gestwicki is adamant bycatch is a problem. That's why he is pushing for a ban on bottom trawling, where the estuary floor is scraped and the nets pull up everything in their path.
It's kind of insane that this practice is still out in North Carolina, and it is not practiced anywhere else on the Atlantic or Gulf Coast.
He says his group is sympathetic to how an inshore trawling ban would impact shrimpers, but he says he is advocating for the changes to protect North Carolina's ecosystem long term. He says shrimpers are strong and will adapt to the changes.
If we don't, the way this is going, we're nearing the point of no return on some of our stock.
The shrimpers we spoke to doubt they'll be able to adapt if these changes go through. It's in the hands of lawmakers if they will start trawling again this summer. Newman says he is prepared to fight for his livelihood.
At some point in time, North Carolinians have got to decide whether they want fresh North Carolina seafood or not. And if they do, we'll still be here. If they want to eat from China, Venezuela, wherever, then we won't be here. But I have a feeling that most people would rather have fresh local North Carolina seafood.
Joe Bruno, Channel 9 Eyewitness News.